The Giants are shaking things up a little and starting quarterback Randy Dean. All that and more coming up on the NFL Today.
Red 83!
The NFL Today is sponsored by Aladdin Stanley Thermos Bottles, the tough ones. Hager, slacks, sport coats, and vests, because looking good makes you feel good. And by Napa, that's N-A-P-A. We help keep America moving. From the CBS Sports Control in New York, here's Brent Musburger.
Good afternoon, everybody. Remember the name Jerry Butler. He is having an unbelievable day for Buffalo. Let's take you right to the scoreboard right now. And the Detroit Lions have just scored another touchdown. They have added the extra point. So now Detroit leads Atlanta 24-16 is the score in that game. Detroit is ahead. All right, elsewhere around the league, Green Bay and Minnesota are now tied at 21. They are in the fourth period. And an upset could be in the making here. It is Baltimore 13, Pittsburgh 10. Here's the wild one. Buffalo 40, Jets 24. Jane, what has Butler done for Buffalo?
Jerry Butler with 9 receptions, over 250 yards today that came on 3 touchdowns. And Brent, the record for one game total yardage was set in 1945, 303 yards, Jim Benton.
So he has a great chance of that. It's only in the third period, and look at this game. Cincinnati was ahead 24-0. Now Houston's come back with 27 unanswered points. That game is in the fourth period. Now another wild one. New England leading San Diego, the unbeaten Chargers. 27-14 is the score there. 14-0. Kansas City has struck on an 84-yard punt return for one of those scores against the Raiders. Also in the third period right now, Washington ahead of St. Louis. 14-0 is the score. They have just begun the third period. Notre Dame and Purdue. Dan Devine had not lost a game to Purdue since becoming the head coach of the Fighting Irish. Yesterday, it was scoreless, and Notre Dame set up to attempt a field goal. Watch what happened. Knaflic took the snap, looked for Maztak, hit him 7-0 after the extra point. The Irish led, but then back came Mark Herman. He goes to Mark Young, and Young dives into the end zone. It was tied at 7. But in the third quarter, Vegas Ferguson turned it on. 15 yards for the Irish, down to the Boilermakers' 8-yard line. And Cagle, the young man out of Cincinnati, went to Nick Veer on the TD pass. It was 27 Notre Dame, but back came Purdue. This is Wally Jones, 20-14 after the extra point. Jones then got a key break here because the Irish pass was intercepted by Marcus McKinney. So after scoring once, Jones was quickly sent in again. Wally made it good, going up over the top of a couple of Irish defenders. It was 21-20, and Purdue held on to win it 28-22. Our top 5 looks this way. Still SC, Alabama, now Oklahoma, Florida State, Ohio State, and California. Let's change the subject to horse racing. The most interested man watching the Woodward Stakes on CBS TV yesterday was Spectacular Bids trainer Buddy Delp. We had him hooked up via two-way from his home in Wilmington, Delaware, and he looked on as a firm took command in the stretch.
Mr. Brea on the rail leads the way by a length. Zarovich is second by a half length. Now Coastal on the outside is third, getting closer. Affirmed also moves up on the rail. Those 4 are tightly bunched at the 5/16 pole. 3/4 and 1/11 and 4. The speed is on. Along the inside, Affirmed on the outside. It's Zarovich. Affirmed does have the lead now by a half length. Zarovich on the outside, but Coastal is gaining ground. Down the stretch now, Affirmed has the lead by 2.5. Zarovich moving to the outside, second by a length, and Coastal is third. Mr. Brea in fourth, and Sir Ladd is fifth at the 16th pole. Affirmed.
Las Barrera had affirmed ready. Now it'll be Delp and Barrera coming up. But when will the two get together? That was the conversation afterwards.
Well, congratulations, Laz. You ran big.
Thank you very much, Bud. You know, we got two great horses.
Oh, heck yeah.
And we have to meet one day.
I know.
But
what day is it going to be, fellas? Laz. Yeah. It's going to be a hell of a race.
It's going to be a hell of a race.
Yeah.
Can we all come?
Oh, everybody better come.
Everybody's invited.
Okay.
Where and when?
The OK Corral, I think, Jack.
Well, maybe the Gold Cup, huh?
How about the Gold Cup?
Sounds good to me.
Sound good to you, Bud?
Yep.
So it's on. 2 weeks, the Gold Cup on CBS. Some late-breaking news. Terry Bradshaw was injured. Now he is back for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He has just thrown a touchdown pass, and the Steelers lead Baltimore 17-13. Herman Franks has quit as manager of the Chicago Cubs. The Cubs now trail Pittsburgh 6-0 in the third. Montreal ahead of Philadelphia 6-4 in the sixth. Cincinnati leading Houston 6-1 in the fourth. And the NFL Today will continue on CBS in just a moment.
Buy 7, get 1 free sales on right now. Participating outlets where you see this poster.
Thanks, AC.
Americans are learning that if their car's plugs are misfiring, a tune-up with new AC spark plugs can help improve gas mileage. Thanks, AC. Now's the time to tune up because AC Delco is making it possible for you to get 8 AC spark plugs for the price of 7.
Thanks, AC.
Tune up with AC. Buy 7, get 1 free.
Thanks, AC.
In many of the world's emerging nations, telecommunications isn't as much of a problem as it used to be. Thanks to, for one thing, microwave relay systems, which greatly facilitated telephone calls within the country. And even more important, something called earth stations, which made it possible to call out of the country via satellite.
Gee.
No, GTE.
What do doctors recommend for pain today? This report shows doctors' #1 choice is the pain reliever in Anacin. 5 million recommendations last year for pain of headache, backache, minor arthritis, and muscle ache. The ingredient in Anacin is the doctor's #1 choice. Anacin is strong, a special combination of medical ingredients free of stomach upset for millions everywhere. The ingredient in Anacin, doctor's #1 choice.
Jimmy the Greek is sponsored by Muriel Coronellas and Air Tips. Join the Muriel Admiration Society.
A lot of big games about ready to start. Jimmy, Chicago and Miami, how do you evaluate that one?
Strock's the quarterback, by the way, for the Dolphins today. You know, backup quarterbacks have won 24 and 21 and lost 4 for the Dolphins in past history. Not that that means much. Minneapolis, Seattle, and Chicago in order. That's what the Dolphins have faced, which means that they have faced 3 Grant teams. So that deep draw of Chicago shouldn't fool them too much. Bo Camper is back. Peyton is running like crazy. He's outdistanced 15 NFL teams. It's close. I'm going to take Miami in a very tough one.
Los Angeles and Tampa Bay. The question, are the Bucs for real?
Now, I guess they are for real. But, you know, the 3 teams that the Bucs have beat have only won 1 game. But they have some great stats here. You know, they've sacked 15 times. They've forced turnovers 10 times. I think the key match is Charlie Hanna against Jack Youngblood, but the Rams' special teams in the kicking game will cover it.
New Orleans, San Francisco.
0-3, somebody's got to win, so that'll take somebody off the hot seat. It should be most interesting because I don't think either side can stop each other. You know, West Chandler, from Manning to West Chandler should get 2, turnovers 1, rushing 1. On the other side, I think 49ers will get 2 running and 2 some way, so it'll be 4 touchdowns apiece, and they both have a poor kicking game and both have poor special teams, so whoever fumbles will win the game.
Let me see if you finally give the big check to the New York Giants. You can't after last Monday night.
No, but I'm not going to fire their coach yet.
But you do like the Eagles today.
You have to like them. They rate the edge practically everywhere, Jaworski especially. And, you know, I mean, he's got Carmichael. The Giants can't be that bad. They did come back the second half once before, remember?
I can't remember. So long ago. A couple other games that the Greek is looking at. Slightly favored, Denver over Seattle and Dallas over Cleveland. Now, set to call the action of the Giants-Eagles, of course, is Pat Summerall. Let's go out live to Pat. What about the quarterbacking situation with the Giants?
Well, as you know, Brent, up until now it has been Joe Pisarcik, and I guess for as much as safety reasons as anything else, it's going to be Randy Dean today. He is, of course, a fine athlete. He excels in racket sports. He started 3 games last year. He's just a better scrambler, and I think that's the reason, just for health purposes as much as anything else, Brent.
All right, Pat. Thank you very much. We'll check in with you a little bit later. Irv?
Brent, down in Miami, of course, Kurt Gowdy and Hank Stram are covering that game. Coach, we know Don Strock is going to start at quarterback. What's Bob Greasy's status? Can he come back and play today?
I think if he has to, he could play today. We watched him very carefully in the warm-up, and he moved around very well. Strock is a very impressive young quarterback, as you know. Is 6-0 as a starter, 7-3 overall as a starter, and has won 8 games and lost 3 during his brilliant career here with the Miami Dolphins.
Thanks very much, Coach. Enjoy yourself.
Okay.
All right, Irv. Good friend of yours and mine, George Allen, standing by in Tampa. And Coach Allen, are the Buccaneers for real? Are they that good?
Hi, Brent. I think John McKay's done a fine job in bringing his team along. However, the teams they've played are 1-8. Tampa has a championship defense. That's the first rule of winning, is building the defense. However, their offense has been a big play offense. They'll be tested today against this great Ram defense.
All right, George, thank you very much. And look who we've added to our coaching staff. As we go live to San Francisco, Big John Madden will be working on that game. John, welcome to CBS, first of all. And secondly, how does it feel to be up in the booth rather than down on the field now?
Thank you very much, Brent. It's different. You know, as a player and a coach, I was always on the sideline. This is the first time I've ever been in a booth. And the game is different. Everything looks different from up here. And it's going to be a real enjoyable experience that I'm looking forward to. One thing I've noticed, though, when I yell at the officials from here, they don't turn around.
All right, John. Have a nice afternoon. Looking at those two guys, Jimmy, I got to ask you, why isn't George Allen working again, and who might hire him? I mean, he does want to coach.
Well, I think that sooner or later he's going to finish up at Baltimore. I really do. I have that feeling. I don't have any information on it, but I've just got a feeling that he's got to go there.
Well, Chuck Noll has gone ahead of Teddy Marchibroda in that game. We'll get you up to date with all the scores as the NFL Today continues on CBS in just a moment.
We belong to a myriad admiration society, my baby and me. We belong to a myriad admiration society. He said he liked the taste of airchips. They're so elegant with their chips. He said nothing could be sweller than a sweet, sweet coronella. I say Muriel is by far the biggest brand of small supply. We go on and on from night till dawn, baby and me.
Atlanta has just scored on a 55-yard run by Stanback, 24-23 Lions over Atlanta. And, Jane, what have you got special for us this week?
Well, Brent, this week we turn to the photography section of the NFL magazine for a look at Cleveland's pass rusher, Jerry Shirk. For years, he's been one of the best at getting to the quarterback. And now that he's a freelance photographer for UPI, he wants those quarterbacks to say cheese. Every pro athlete dreads that particular time when he realizes that his career may be nearing its end. A severe knee surgery brought that awareness to the Cleveland Browns all-pro tackle, Jerry Shirk. But because of that knee surgery, Shirk had the time to learn the art of photography. And now the 10-year veteran is well prepared for his life on the sidelines as a sports photographer after his career is over. Near his home outside of Cleveland, Jerry Shirk, now healthy and back in the lineup again, told me about his newfound commitment to photography.
I like being creative. I like the magic of seeing that print come up, and I like the looks on people's face when I hand them a print and say, hey, I took this of you, and their face lights up, and that's worth $1,000 to me. One of my biggest problems as a photographer is that I get so involved with the Indians. I've met a lot of them. I know what they're going through. They're about a 500 ball club right now, and that's what we were last year. When Andy Thornton or Gary Alexander or somebody steps up to the plate and hits a home run and I'm supposed to be taking a picture of it, a lot of times I just drop the camera and go over that wall because I can relate to them so much. I'd like to put a lens in my helmet and see what happens out there and have a little clicker. I don't know if Sam Ritigliano would go for it, but I think that would be fun. Look across the line, get ready to rush the passer and say cheese and click it.
Jerry, I understand you do your own developing, and you have quite an elaborate darkroom. What is it like when you're in there and you're developing the pictures of a baseball game?
Well, it's solitude. I like going in there. I like turning up the stereo and moving around a little bit and watching those images come up. I know that I'll be able to spend some time in there because if you know the winters in Cleveland in January and February and March are pretty drastic, I figure I'm going to camp out and maybe I'll get my wife to bring a sleeping bag down and I'll come up for air about March.
No time for Jerry to take pictures tomorrow night against Dallas, though.
No, he's got to go against Herb Scott, and that's not an easy job. The last time the Browns went against the Cowboys was 1974, and Dallas won it 41-17.
But you know, Cleveland is home. They're an underdog. I really like the Browns tomorrow night.
I think I like them, too.
Okay.
It's hometown.
We have got a scoring update with just 50 seconds remaining. Green Bay and Minnesota are tied at 21. They could be headed for overtime, and the NFL Today will continue on CBS in just a moment.
In the tropics, where we blend Dutch Master cigars, our master blender, Augusto Santiago, meets the tobacco personally. Before he accepts, he tastes it 3 times. First with his nose, then with his touch. Then he wraps the leaf around the cigar and tastes it with his taste. That's why a Dutch Masters like our Panatella is worth more. There really are masters at Dutch Masters.
When you eat a hamburger outside the restaurant, there are 2 things you should remember. Hot and juicy, hot and juicy. Wendy's starts you out with hamburgers hot off the grill, never pre-cooked or warmed over. Hot and juicy, hot and juicy, hot and juicy. And Wendy's super fast pickup window speeds you off in no time at all.
If you choose your tools as carefully as you use them, choose Master Mechanic Tools from True Value Hardware stores. Master Mechanic Tools are American-made from superior materials to give you the performance and long life you would expect from a professional quality tool. True Value Hardware stores are so confident of this quality that they'll replace any Master Mechanic tool that fails to perform as expected. And that means any tool from the wide line of Master Mechanic tools sold only at participating True Value Hardware stores.
Searching for oil here in the U.S. had gotten harder and harder. We laid miles of heavy seismic cable just about everywhere we could. Then, Phillips came up with a new way to search, using portable units like this. It works in mountains, swamps, hundreds of places too hard to search before. So soon, this country may be crawling with crews like ours, looking for oil here at home to replace some that's now being bought from foreign countries.
Phillips Petroleum. Good things for cars and the people who drive them.
39 seconds to go, and Pack and the Vikes are still tied. How many overtime games have we had in the league so far?
We've had 5 so far this season, and I guess the trend is really increasing. We asked the question, why are there so many overtime games last week? And Jimmy said, well, there's parity in the league. There's balance now.
How many new coaches are trying their hand this year?
Well, we have 4 new head coaches this year in the NFL, Brent. And the 4 coaches are from Oakland, New England, San Francisco, and the New York Giants. And collectively, they're off to a poor 3-9 start. I spoke with the 4 new coaches recently and got some pretty interesting evaluations on their ball clubs. While the off-season controversy has been swept beneath the start of the 1979 season, the Oakland Raiders and new head coach Tom Flores still have found the going tough.
So right now, my biggest concern is we have to be consistent. We have a real young team. We really do. A lot of people don't realize it, but we average less than 4 years per man on our squad, and we have to mature. We just are not quite there in our continuity, and that's one thing that we're working for. And right now, that's my biggest concern.
Continuity is also a prime interest in New York, where Ray Perkins is attempting to turn the Giants around. Winless after 3 games, New York quarterbacks have been sacked a league-high 17 times, and the offense has gone from bad to worse.
Offensively, we've gotten off to a very slow start. You might call it a sloppy start.
We haven't run the ball. We've lacked in pass protection. And we've lacked that one guy that can give you the big play. We've lacked certain things in our team overall that can give us a big play in any area of the game. And we must get better on the pass protection. Because in the National Football League, if you can't rush the passer and you can't protect the passer, you don't win.
New England's rookie head coach Ron Earhart has been looking for ways to keep the Patriots winning. In the past, their primary attack was a three-man front on defense, supplemented with an occasional blitzing linebacker to bolster the pass rush. But the real reason New England presently leads the NFL in quarterback sacks is because of a change in Patriot strategy.
One of our goals was to take a look at our overall defensive philosophy, and we've been a 3-4 team. We've installed some four-down lineman principles, whether it's against the run or the pass, and we've done quite a bit of changing. But I think overall, I think you'll see us in a lot more four-down linemen than we have been in the past.
In San Francisco, new head coach Bill Walsh has chosen a wide-open approach while attempting to salvage the winless 49ers. Most young teams try to build a defense first, but in San Francisco, Walsh is hoping an explosive offense can fuel an exciting return from a disastrous past.
A lot of people thought this is about as bad as a team could get. I know the Las Vegas people didn't even have us on their boards. There aren't enough points they can give us, is what they were talking about. There will be a low spot always when you're building. There'll be some low spots when you really get taken, and taken badly. And it'll happen, I hope not, but I think will happen during the year. But week in and week out, I think we'll make it very interesting for our opposition. Well, I think we're very competitive. I think we're sort of fortunate in a way. It's hard to say this, but we've, of course, been ahead in every game, and every game has been very, very close. But it might be best for us, because had we won any one of those games, especially the second two, our fans would have thought we would have really arrived, and we're just not there. It's going to take us time.
But Perkins and Flores have not been that impressive with the Giants and the Raiders.
No, but their club's been decimated by injuries, Brett.
All right, we've got a baseball update. Montreal leading Philadelphia 7-4. That game is in the seventh inning. In the third, it is still Pittsburgh 6, Chicago nothing. Cincinnati now ahead of Houston 6-1 in the fifth. And you know, for the last couple of weeks, Pete Rose has been on a hitting tear that has raised his batting average to .333. Jack Whitaker was here a little bit earlier to reflect on the Phillies' gritty star and another record that he is about to set.
The free agent has changed the face of baseball and produced some strange and fascinating things. The Yankees used a fat payroll to win 2 pennants in a World Series and then fell this year as sharply as the American dollar, while the Baltimore Orioles, economically modest by Yankee standards, romped to their divisional title. In the National League, the Phillies sought to emulate the Yankees. Their final touch was to sign up Pete Rose for one of the highest salaries in all of sports, amidst oohs and ahs and grumblings about nobody being worth that much money. Well, the Phillies, like the Yankees, fell this year, but Pete Rose did not. And if every free agent produced as well as Rose, the Yankees would be champions forever. Pete Rose already owns the second longest hitting streak in Major League history and is a member of the 3,000 hit club. Now he is closing in on another record, obscure perhaps, but definitive of the type of player he is. In 9 seasons, he has gotten 200 or more hits. Only one other player had ever done that. He was Ty Cobb, the player Rose most closely resembles. Now Pete is about to stand alone. With 2 hits last night, he has 198 for the season, and he'll make it 10 years that he has passed the 200-hit mark. When you play like Pete, you don't have time to grouse and complain. When you play like Pete, baseball is the joyful thing it was in our youth. What an example for his peers. What a pleasure for we fans.
And what a pleasure it'll be to have Pete back with our staff during the World Series, although he would rather be playing. Let's make him the manager of the Phillies next year, Greek.
You might make him, or we might make him the manager, but I think Joe Torre is being considered.
You think Joe Torre might leave the Mets and go to the Phillies?
You know, the price could be right.
All right, just a few minutes remaining in a key game over there, San Diego and New England. The Chargers had a chance to score. Pass was intercepted by the Patriots. They're trying to run that clock down. They lead it 27-21. And the NFL Today will continue on CBS in just a moment.
Aladdin Stanley Thermos. Stanley, the tough, all-steel thermos bottle that's completely dependable and built to take a bounding year after year. Get the tough one. Because a thermos bottle means more to you than a picnic. It's some kind of tough thermos bottle.
Oh, excuse me.
Excuse me. He's not too bad, except for those stale clothes. Wonder how he'd look in something fresh like pleated Hager slacks. Or a wool Hager sport coat and slacks. Even a Hager vested suit.
Cantaloupe?
No, let's have a church wedding.
Hager, because looking good makes you feel good.
Boys, this is the express line.
When Napa first made the claim that lots of Napa parts are better than your car's original parts, some folks were skeptical.
Better than the original?
Better than the original?
Better than the original.
So before we could make that claim on TV, we were told to do one small thing.
Prove it!
So we did. Lots of Napa parts are better than your car's original parts. So visit your Napa Auto Parts store. Napa. We help keep America moving.
Bradshaw threw the winning touchdown pass, and the Steelers run their record now to 4-0 as they beat Baltimore. Next for the unbeaten Steelers, the Philadelphia Eagles. Now in another game, still in the fourth, Joe Ferguson has thrown 5 touchdown passes for Chuck Knox and the Bills. Buffalo is on the rise. They're going to beat the Jets. Still time left in that game. It's 46-24. Big day for Jerry Butler, as Jane told you earlier on the broadcast. This is a wild one. Cincinnati was up 24-0. Houston came back with 27. Now the Bengals have tied it as they head for overtime. And Minnesota received in their overtime, and they're trying to move the ball against Green Bay. And New England still leading San Diego 27-21. At halftime, we'll have complete highlights and a scoring update. 14-0 Kansas City ahead of Oakland. And Washington leads St. Louis 14-0. That's in the third. For Jane, Irv, and Jimmy, I'm Brent Musburger. So long. We'll see you at halftime.
The NFL Today is sponsored by Kmart Automotive Service Centers, where quality car products are Kmart priced. Ford Truck, who invites you to see all the tough Ford pickups at your Ford dealer now during Ford Truck Week. And by the Miller Brewing Company, brewers of Miller High Life. If you've got the time, we've got the beer. Stay tuned as the NFL Today continues after this word from your local station. Archie's back with co-star Martin Balsam, and there's something funny going on at Archie Bunker's place tonight at 8, 7 Central and Mountain on CBS.
You can stretch your money and your mileage now during Superior Pontiac's Sunbird Sellout. Pay just $48.88 for air-conditioned Pontiac Sunbirds that get up to 685 highway miles per tank full of gas. At Superior, you get Tampa's greatest selection of Sunbirds, plus 1980 Phoenixes, GM's new X-model front-wheel drive car that gets up to 518 miles on a tank of gas. Give your savings added mileage. Get a long-range Pontiac at closeout prices now during the Sunbird Sellout at Superior Pontiac, GMC, Tampa.
Presenting the cold, refreshing mountains. Bush. The mountain, symbol of all the good natural ingredients that go into Bush. Symbol of all the good natural taste that pours out. Always natural, clean, and refreshing. So come up to the beer with a taste as smooth as its name. Bush. Smooth, new Bush.